Some crazy things have happened in the history of medicine. Hi, I'm Nandini, and today we're going to talk about the history of blood work. Blood was always this mysterious red thing that poured out of us, sometimes seen as the elixir of life and sometimes as danger. When William Harvey discovered the circulatory system, and with the invention of the syringe by Christopher Wren in the 17th century, the crazy started. Physicians started to experiment with blood transfusion. Richard Lower performed the first successful blood transfusion between animals in 1665. It was pretty gruesome, and basically the dogs were tied down and blood was transferred through quills inserted in their necks. The experiment ended when the donor dog would begin to cry and faint and fall into convulsions and at last die. This milestone raised a number of questions about the implications of blood transfusion. Could blood from a recently fed dog relieve the hunger of a hungry dog? Could skills and knowledge be transferred by blood? Could blood from a cowardly individual make the temperament of an aggressive individual calmer? Today, Ambrosia, a California-based company, sells young blood transfusions for a lot of money, claiming that teenage blood plasma can make older people feel energetic and healthier. However, there is a lot of controversy around this claim. 17th century physicians in Europe tried to find answers to the mental and physical properties of blood by transfusing sheep blood to Arthur Koga. They needed a subject that was obviously sick and had hope for improvement for the transfusion. Koga was mentally unstable and was thought to be the perfect subject. The sheep blood was supposed to cool his mind and knock some sense into him. However, the experiment was a waste because his mental illness only made him an unfit judge of the results. Meanwhile, in France, physician Denis worked on direct human blood transfusions. Some successful, some unsuccessful, and you know how that works, eventually charged with murder. The public ridiculed blood transfusions so much that, however revolutionary to science, blood transfusions were mostly banned for the next 150 years. Hold on, it gets crazier. By the late 19th century, physicians had started to look for substitutes for blood transfusion, which was reasonable seeing how badly things had gone in the past. And believe it or not, the best thing they came up with was milk. Cow, goat and human milk. They believed that the minute oily and fatty particles found in milk were convertible into white corpuscles of the blood, and that the white corpuscles would develop into the red blood cells. Today we know that this is not the case, but 200 years ago it might have been a pretty good guess. And so they began injecting people with milk, only to conclude that it was more lethal than blood, with patients complaining of chest pain and difficulty breathing before dying. A viable option was finally found when isotonic saline solutions were discovered in 1884.
James Blundell worked on human-to-human blood transfusion. The first transfusion that involved a patient who survived was performed in 1825, where a woman who had postpartum hemorrhage was given her husband's blood, who acted as a bedside donor.
It has always fascinated me how nature works in mysterious ways, and science is like a kid trying to solve a treasure hunt. In 1900, only 120 years ago, Karl Landsteiner discovered the A, B and O blood groups by mixing the red blood cells and serum of his lab staff, for which he was awarded the Nobel Prize. Later, two of his students discovered the AB blood group. Landsteiner saw that blood cells clumped together in some cases and didn't clump together in other cases. But why? We still don't know what purpose these different blood groups serve and why they exist. But we do know how they work. We now know that while blood saves lives, the same blood can be the cause of death of an incompatible individual. The next video answers how this works and with Legos. Do check it out, and if you enjoyed this video, like, share and subscribe. Bye bye!